What I can do instead of using each one of these for one specific drum sound, there's different playback modes that we have for the trigs when we're playing different sounds on our tracks. Right now, the default setting, each one of these will just play the sound on the track that's assigned to it. If I hold function and I press the up arrow, I have different ways that I can play these different sounds. So like I said, tracks, each trig is hardwired to play the sound on a specific track. If I go down to chromatic, now I can play a particular track chromatically. So if I had, some sort of melodic sound, then I can play this in different pitches. But what I'm concerned with right now is this area that says slots. When I choose slots, I can play the different sample slots and I can play them on one track. So even though I have the kick, clap, close, and open hi-hat assigned to 4 different tracks, they're really just playing from 4 different sample slots. Each track is playing a specific sample slot. This way, if I choose slots, I can play any of those sample slots on one track, and then that frees up my other tracks to do other things. So I'm going to choose slots here. I'm going to let go of function. And if you remember, the sample slots that I used were 5, 6, 7, and 8. Everything else was blank. And now that I've chosen slots, I see 5, 6, 7, and 8 are lit up. So now I have the ability to either play these in real time, or if I play my sequence, let me go back to my grid recording mode. Another way that I could insert different samples into different steps, I'm going to hold down this step right here. Now I'm on track 8. The sample on track 8 is the open hi-hat. I can see that right there. But while I'm holding down this step, if I adjust the level knob, I can actually pick a different sample in one of the different sample slots. So I'm going to put my kick here, and I'll put my clap on step 5. So I'm holding that step down. I'm going to add a different sound there. Now with these two here, I have a kick and I have a clap. Now I have the ability to copy, clear, and paste these different steps in my sequencer. So I don't have to go to each individual step and dial in the same exact sound if they're already in my sequence. If I want to copy this kick, for example, I can hold this and press copy, and it says copy trig. Now I can go to a different trig, a different step in my sequencer, hold it down, and press paste. So I just put the kick there. So I'm going to go ahead and place a few more kicks here. And now I'm going to copy my clap, which is here, step 5, hold step 5, copy, and I'm going to paste that at step 13. All right, there we go. Now at this point, let's say I want to get out of the grid recording mode. Maybe I want to try to add this hi-hat in real time. I've got a little bit of latency with my setup, so don't clown my timing. But if I want to record this in real time, instead of pressing the record button to enter the grid recording mode, I can hold record and press play. And now we see the record LED is flashing, and now I'm in live recording. Okay, not bad. So now I'm going to get out of the live recording mode. I'll press record once. This brings me back to the grid mode. I'll press it again. And now I'm just hearing the playback. Now, one more thing I'm going to touch on really quickly before we move on. We're going to explore the sequencer in a lot more detail as we continue, but I have 16 steps that are playing right now. If I want this to be longer than just one bar, 16 steps, each step is a 16th note. So if we have 16 steps, we're basically playing one bar. If I want more than just one bar, I can change the length of the sequence by going to the scale setup. It's written in red, so I have to hold function and then I press scale setup. And here we see pattern scale. The default mode is that each track is going to adhere to the same pattern length. And the default setup is 16 steps. So the denominator, the bottom number here, we can move our cursor left and right. I've just moved it under that second number. And if I press up, this is going to increase, or if I press down, decrease the pattern length by 16 steps. So if I go up 32 steps, now it's 2 bars. This would be 3 bars. This would be 4 bars. And again, the default setting, let me just go ahead and hit exit. When I do that, go into my grid recording mode so we can see the steps in the sequence. If I press this button now that I'm in the grid record mode, I can move from the first 16 steps to the second 16, the third 16, and the fourth 16. And we see all those trigs that I placed in the sequence got copied. So if I play this, we see which page that we're looking at in terms of the 16 steps. And we hear that pattern gets repeated all the way throughout. At this point now, I could go to some of these and maybe just kind of change the steps. And let's see what happens here. Now again, I'm entering these trigs on a track where the default sound is the open hi-hat. So if I don't copy and paste any of the trigs I've entered in here, if I just place a trig, it's going to make that sound the open hi-hat. So when we get to page 3, these 2 trigs are the open hi-hat that's on there. So again, the beauty of this is that we've been able to use 4 different samples and sequence them all on one track. We know that if we hold function and we press up when we're not in any sort of grid recording mode or whatever, we can change it so that we can play the different slots in real time. Or if we're in the grid recording mode, we can hold down one of these sequencer steps and adjust the level knob to place a specific sample from one of the different sample slots in there.